In 2019, Ford committed the cardinal sin that it and some other manufacturers have now been guilty of, and that is to bring back an iconic name in the shape of a crossover/SUV, with this, the new Ford Puma. But worse than that, they went bubbly with the design. Quirky, cute, whatever you want to call it. Now, I know, yes, granted, the old Puma was also a little bit bubbly, but I feel it had a little bit more presence. It was certainly a bit more menacing, whereas this is a bit more on the just meh. Now, I don't want to... Sorry, 1 second. Hello. Yeah, just filming. Oh, come on. All right. Okay, fine. Fine. Sorry guys, we're gonna have to start that again because they've just announced Sébastien Loeb is racing one of these in WRC this year, and that automatically makes it a cool car now. So back to one, everyone. This is the Ford Puma ST, more precisely the Puma ST M260, as prepared by Ford tuning wizards Mountune. And although this one doesn't have much in relation to the actual Ford Puma rally one, Mountune themselves have had their hand in some pretty epic rally cars over the last 4 decades. So you can bet this one is of noble parentage, shall we say.
Similar to what they did with the Focus M365 you may have seen on our channel, Mountune have found some extra power with the help of an uprated intercooler, high flow charge pipe, induction kit, and a remapped ECU which you can program yourself with a few taps on your smartphone. Do this and the 1.5 3-cylinder turbo engine will regale you with an extra 60 brake horsepower or so, bringing it up to 256 from the standard 197, and an increase of 33 pound-foot of torque from 236 to 269. Now, it may not sound like a huge jump in power and torque, but Mountune are usually quite good at taking these little increments of performance from here, there and anywhere and putting it together in a way that the result is actually quite noticeable.
First impressions, this little car has no business being this shouty. I mean, the standard ST is quite throaty. It's got quite a rasp from the 3-cylinder engine, but with this GPF exhaust, it becomes a bit more, I don't want to say F1-y, but it's a higher pitch, if you know what I mean. And it does sound pretty awesome for such an unassuming car. I mean, obviously a lot of the sound is pumped into the cabin, but pretty much a moot point nowadays because which cars isn't? It's a revvy little thing. It really likes to be up there right near the 6,000 revs, and if you keep it there you can feel that like the extra bit of torque that Mountune has given it is there constantly. It does feel very much like a Ford performance car as soon as you jump in. It is very much in keeping with what the Focus ST and the Fiesta ST have to offer in terms of how sporty the interior feels. This particular car has also got the Ford Performance package, which amongst other things gives you a mechanical limited slip diff, which Mountune have then recalibrated to obviously get the most out of it. Now sadly, because the levels of grip are not ideal, I'm finding myself having to chase the front end quite a lot on corner exits, but you can feel the diff trying to help you with that. One other thing that Mountune have recalibrated is the settings on the launch control, which is supposed to give you better traction off the line. Now unfortunately, again, because of the weather today, I've noticed no difference, to be honest. It's just wheel spinning all the way, but I'll take their word for it.
Cosmetically, I think the OZ racing wheels give it a more grown-up appearance, the lowering springs make it look more purposeful, and as much as I loathe decals on road cars, even I can admit that in this case, these actually really help combat the risk of any cliche kitchen appliance comparisons and break up the profile rather nicely.
Right now as we speak, Mountune are considering developing a stiffer suspension kit for this car, as well as upgraded brakes like your groove brake discs and performance pads. Those I would welcome, actually. I'd welcome an upgrade to the brakes, because even though we've only been going around for 3 laps and it's quite wet, they are showing slight side of fading. But the suspension I'm not so sure about. I feel like it's kind of as stiff as you'd want it to be already with these lowering springs, because if you're going to use this car on the road a lot especially, I don't think you'd want it any stiffer. It's already pretty propense to getting itself on 3 wheels. I'd say more than any further performance upgrades, actually, what I would welcome is maybe some kind of Mountune seat brackets that would lower the seat a bit and just give me a bit of a lower center of gravity, because right now it does feel a bit like a car that is nearly as tall as it is wide. And don't get me wrong, the Recaro seats are amazing and they do keep you in place, but I'll be honest, my standard driving position is that sort of touring car drive. As soon as I jump in any car, I'll just lower the seat as low as possible, get the steering wheel sort of as high and out to me as reasonably possible. And in this, even though I've done that, I still feel like I'm quite high up, and it does feel a bit like a car that is on stilts. I know it's not, obviously, but my ass doesn't. Another thing that the lower seats would perhaps help with would be to get me a little bit closer to that gear stick down there, because right now, I know it's nitpicking, but every time I want to change gear, it does feel like I'm having to go all the way down there, you know, whereas if it was a little bit closer to the steering wheel, it would be the perfect gear changing experience. Because to be honest, the Mountune quick shift arm makes this one of the butteriest gear changes you'll ever experience. It's just so nice. And it's a tiny little detail as well, but this gear knob, I said it in the Focus video, is just, it belongs in a museum. It's just perfect. Combine that with the fact that Mountune have recalibrated the flat shift system, that means that you don't need to lift your foot off the throttle every time you want to change gear, and the whole gear changing experience is just so satisfying in this. I was quite disappointed when I saw that we were going to have typical British weather today, especially because Mountune have surprised us with a nice set of Cup 2 tyres. But then I realised this car has got something that I have not seen in a very long time. Behold, the bar of happiness.
There's a place where I go, my mind has a glow, and nothing can keep me from smiling. Where the world is alright, the sun shining bright, there isn't a cloud in the sky. In my happy place.
There's a lot to be said for a car that lets you just have gratuitous fun with a handbrake. It's snappy when it comes back around, but I could do that all day.
So, after much deliberation and some extensive testing, I've concluded that the Ford Puma ST is for people who want to buy a Ford Puma ST. Yes, at just over 30,000 new, it isn't cheap, but especially with this M260 kit, the Puma is just as valid an option as any of its competitors, and driving it today has certainly squashed some of my qualms.
Okay, I'm not in love with it, but I don't hate it either. I will very happily admit that it surprised me today, and it's a very capable car performance-wise, and what Mountune have done here is definitely leveled it up. And design-wise, maybe it will age well, maybe it will grow on me even more. I mean, I remember the Civic Type R EP3, for example, when it came out, everyone was calling it the bread van Type R, simply because it was a little bit taller than the previous model. And nowadays, I actually think that was probably the sweet spot design-wise. And whilst, no, if I'm honest, I still wouldn't get one of these for myself. Our kids will grow up in a world where one that looks a bit like this is being thrown around the tarmac stages of Croatia in the WRC. So much like we lust after our 205 GTIs and Renault 5 turbos these days, they'll probably grow up aspiring to own a Ford Puma ST. And if they do, it won't be any old Ford Puma ST. It will more than likely be this one. Holy cow, I'd forgotten just how wet that day was. That was definitely one of the top wettest shoots ever. Hopefully you'll agree that we still managed to get a pretty cool feature out of it, all things considered. If you do, obviously a thumbs up would be awesome. Feel free to get involved in the comments. Let us know what you think of the Puma. At this point, somewhere around here, YouTube will be trying to entice you to watch another video. Do not resist it. Click it now for some more awesome content. And obviously, if you're not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Click that subscribe button, click the bell icon, and we'll catch you on the next one.